Hello, and welcome to Great Conversations, the show where we explore the latest innovations in the bar grading manufacturing industry with our team of experts. My name's Caitlin, and I'll be your host for this special Pack Expo conversation. I'm joined today by Specialty Products Sales Manager Brian Pelto and Vice President of Business Development Kevin Miller. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah. Today we're talking about traction safety products. We'll look briefly at the history of where the industry's been and a little bit into where it's going. We'll also discuss safety and design considerations that impact a number of different businesses and public spaces. It's going to be a great conversation. Brian, what are some common applications, types of jobs where we see traction safety products utilized?
Sure. So, you will see them in all different types of projects, commercial, industrial, civil, municipal, architectural, residential. Mm-hmm. And, residential, it could be walkways around buildings, apartment towers, office buildings, banks, shopping malls. Municipal, it would be in parks and recreation spaces where you have public people walking around. In a downtown streets, many times you're walking down a sidewalk, you're going to walk over a metal plate or bar grating that has a electrical transformer or switchgear underneath. Mm-hmm. Out in piers and boating areas and launch areas, anywhere where there's really public access, it's a requirement, per ADA guidelines to put slip-resistant material in there. Mm. Industrial, it would be, platforms, walkways, aisleways, catwalks around machinery, manufacturing machinery, things like that. Yeah. Then the food industry, of course, all around all the food-making equipment. Some of it's a little oily or, water, dust.
Yeah.
And you need a slip resistance on those work platforms and things like that. And then I would say, in civil projects, bridge construction, bicycle lanes, walkways, pedestrians that are going to be walking along next to the walkway, they need that slip resistant. So quite a few areas that we will see slip resistant, and train stations, bus stations, and anywhere around the entrance and exit areas.
Yeah. So now, what are the common products and manufacturing methods for traction safety?
Well, I see on metal specifically, it'd be a thermal spray process. So you're spraying, whether it's bar grading, metal plate, stair treads, ramps, steps leading into a truck, just about anywhere where an employee or a pedestrian may walk. And that metal spray has particles in it that add to the slip resistance. And that's very durable and permanent. It meets COF standards. Also, the laser deposition process, and where you're putting powdered metal on top of metal and you're laser welding it into the substrate, that is very durable and long-lasting as well. So those are really the most long-lasting, durable products and methods I see on the market today.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. So Brian, you had mentioned that people care about it more. Kevin, why should companies care about traction safety and slip resistance?
Well, there's really two or three reasons here. The first reason is for any company that really cares about their employees and the public, they want to protect them.
Right.
And, just having that extra layer of protection for people that are ingressing and egressing from your building or working in your manufacturing area and preventing them from slipping and falling is just a standard of care I think we should have.
Yeah.
On top of that, there's a huge liability concern. I mean, beyond caring, you can pay some pretty significant fines if you are not complying with it, and subject yourself to a lot of lawsuits. The largest cause of hospital industries is slips and falls. And if it happens on your property, you're probably going to be paying for it.
Yeah.
So I think, I would love to think that everybody cares a lot about their employees and that they're trying to protect them.
Yeah.
There's a bottom line aspect to it too.
For sure.
Just to protect yourself and your company.
Yeah. Okay. What key regulations should be considered when designing a walking surface?
There's obviously the American with Disabilities Act. ADA came out in about 1990-ish, is that correct?
Yeah, 91.
91. They have a standard, I can quote it for you, but it's 302.1 for all you engineers out there, which says that you must have a stable, firm, and slip-resistant surface. And a slip-resistant surface is one that provides enough coefficient of friction to prevent loss of traction. And for those who don't know, ADA goes all the way back. It's the same thing that requires you to have the bumps when you enter a crosswalk on the sidewalk. So it's that act that really brought into, I think, the public view this traction safety. And even though it was in 1990-ish, it took 15 years or so before the industry really started adopting it. The other one would be OSHA. Everybody knows who OSHA is. And they have a general industry standard, 1910.22. And that's a requirement that you keep your conditions safe, sanitary, dry. They've got to be free of hazards. You've got to be able to support the load. You've got to inspect it and make sure. And you got to repair it when it goes out of disrepair. But the underlying piece to all of that, if you look at the spirit of the regulation, is that you keep your workers safe. And traction is, and being able to walk without slipping and falling in hazardous environments is one of those pieces.
Okay. This one could be for either of you. How have you seen the public perception? I think you might have mentioned it a little bit earlier, but the public perception change regarding the use of traction safety products.
You know, the more awareness of the public, I mean, again, the designers and the owners and developers, they have a motivation to have slip resistance incorporated in their projects to keep the public and their employees from slipping and falling. But the public now, you know, once they see this product out in the market, you know, traveling through an airport or bus station, walking down the street, stepping on top of a utility vault cover, walking downtown areas and stepping on a ventilation grate for a subway, you know, they're expecting it to be, you know, they want to walk over and not even notice it's there. They don't want it slippery, they don't want it too open, they don't want sharp edges, they don't want to fall down on it. And I think that they're used to seeing a more safety related installation. So when they don't see one, then they're very aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, for either of you, are there any trends currently in the industry that we're noticing?
I think you're probably seeing a trend to, I think there's a raise in awareness from an industry standpoint over, you know, Brian mentioned earlier epoxy aggregate and how easy it breaks up, flakes off, the adhesive products that come off. I think industry itself and contractors and owners are beginning to see that, you know, using something that's a little more durable, provides you more life, gives you that extra layer that you're not going to constantly be maintaining it, constantly having to replace it. So the trends that I'm seeing in the industry are, it's more thought of on the front end than it used to be. Okay. It used to be more, oh no, we got to do something. What do we do? Okay, we're going to throw a piece of sandpaper tape on here. And now it's become, okay, we need to actually figure out what we want to do before we even start on the project. So it's more in the front of thought for designers and engineers.
Okay.
That's what I'm seeing.
Cool. Kind of curtailing off of that, where do you see it going in the future? Are there things upcoming that you foresee in your crystal ball?
Well, I mean, we're always working on trying to improve it here.
Yes.
So we have some changes coming up to, you know, our All Grip product line, which I think are going to be really exciting for the industry. I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. We have things that we're working on on the On Grip side as well that I think will help elevate that standard and the quality that you're getting. But I also think in the future, it's going to become more and more dominant in the public awareness and also industry, because it's just the society we live in. People are more conscious of safety now than they used to be. It's certainly changed over my career how much people are interested in the safety of their environment. Yeah. And I think on top of all of that, unfortunately, we live in a litigious society, and you just have to be more aware of it as you move forward. And if we don't do it, it'll just become regulated. So it's in our interest for the industry as a whole to take care of itself so that we're, kind of self-policing it as opposed to having the government step in and to tell us what we have to do.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, in the old days, it seemed like it was just a spec writer, an architect, or an engineer way at the beginning putting something in a spec.
Yeah.
And and then sometimes it wouldn't get in the spec. And you'd have this project go all the way through without slip resistance. Oh, we forgot slip resistance. Now I think there's more people involved in the decision-making process. There's safety engineers, project managers, inspectors. More people are getting involved and realizing it, and they're not just relying on somebody in the process forgetting it or putting it in.
Yeah.
It's coming up more at meetings. It's coming up more in specifications. A lot more public awareness, a lot more people involved in that decision-making process.
Yeah, yeah. Kevin, I want to go back to something you said. You mentioned there are upgrades coming to All Grip and On Grip. Are there any specific details you can tell us about those things?
Not yet. You're going to have to wait a little bit for now, Kaylin.
Okay.
But I'll be happy to come back and talk to you when that happens.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. We touched on a lot of really great topics today. If a designer or someone that wants to know more so they can get in that proactive approach instead of the reactive approach, not forgetting about slip resistance, where can they find more information about traction safety products?
You can always come to our website, ohiogratings.com. That's gratings with a T.
And an S on the end of
Yes,
gratings.
you'd be
Yes.
surprised how many people use a D.
Yes.
If you still need help or you have questions, give us a call. We're more than happy to answer. You may not even end up using our product, but we'd love to help you with whatever your grading or traction issue is and whatever information we can give you to help out.
Yeah.
And we have all of our specifications in CSI three-part format specifications in Word that a designer or an engineer can download off of our website. And we're also listed as the basis design for slip resistance and master spec and other spec resources on the internet.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you both for being here today. I know I learned a lot and I appreciate your insights. I hope you have enjoyed this episode of Great Conversations. If you did, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you've not already, and if you want more insightful conversations like this one, be sure to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram at Ohio Gratings Inc. Let's keep the conversation going.